In America, do we have food bank influencers?
I'm 52nd in the food bank line. Let's see how.
Why some of the new poor people complain so much about food bank food.
Banks, that really upsets me. You know what I'm saying? I do not like an ungrateful person. Make the best of things.
And anyone else find this strange that America has the richest poor people?
Do you want to see what the food bank gave me this morning? I'll show you.
But then you get there and then your options are extremely limited and or things that you just don't eat.
You know, there are something called food bank influencers, like content creators, like food bank content creators. I didn't know such thing existed. You know, apparently there are a group of people online that drive from food bank to food bank to food bank to food bank, picking up food and then making content about it, you know, showing what they get from the food bank. Like apparently that's their job. That's what they do. You know, they go from food bank to food bank to food bank, picking up free food and then coming online to TikTok and making a video about it. And then they will, some of them will complain about the food that they got for free. How some of them will say, some of them will complain about how the food is junk food, how they don't eat those, how they don't like the food that they
For
got.
everybody that does go to the food bank, you know what? I can appreciate all this, but there is not one thing I'm going to eat in here. There's no fresh fruit. There's no veggies. There's no toilet paper. You know, like, yeah. So I guess I'm going out to the backyard to go find my frozen dandelions, and I'm gonna go fry those up in some water.
See what the food bank gave me this morning? I'll show you.
Why some of the new poor people complain so much about food bank food. I would be so fucking happy just to get any of that she got right there, okay? That's how you can tell the difference between new poor and old poor. The new poor don't know how to fucking survive for shit, okay? If you don't want that food bank food, give it to somebody else or trade with somebody else. Go like, hey, look, I got a few boxes of Oreos. I'll trade you for like 2 cans of peas or some onions or maybe some vegetables. Why is it the new poor complain so much about food bank food? You guys would not fucking survive. That's why old poor, like we old poor, I would be so happy to get any of that shit. Like, seriously.
A lady, 2 women on here that stood in the line, you know, and got food from food pantries, you know, the food banks and all that, you know what I'm saying? And they don't like the stuff that the people gave them. One lady complained because she feel like she only got snacks, so woot this baby. Okay, well, you gonna have to bounce around. You know what I'm saying? You got that from now on. Maybe you could go to another church or something, somebody giving something. You know, just be on the lookout. But for y'all to go and stand in the line and come back and make videos and show us what the people gave y'all and complain about it. Baby, work with what you got. Okay, until you can get something else. If you hungry, you hungry. If your children are hungry, baby, I don't care if you ain't got nothing but a pie. Feed them something, you know what I'm saying? But don't be ungrateful like that, you know? And more people are going to see their videos and start doing that. So we need to stop this now. Stop y'all in y'all tracks. So she was like, they could have gave them this. They could have gave them that. You're not the only one that they're giving. So work with what you can. And like I say, bounce around until you get everything that you feel you may need to be straight for a few days. And don't overdo it as well. Leave some for, you know, for somebody else too, because a lot of people are struggling. Don't be big at it, as I'm saying. But to see that lady to get on here and complain about what they gave her at the food pantries and the food banks, that really upsets me. You know what I'm saying? I do not like an ungrateful person. Make the best of things. Hugs and love. Y'all be blessed. Praying for the world. I'm hoping things get better. J-Lo.
So I've been enjoying my time here in Virginia, but one thing I'm a little bit confused about in the discourse on this app is the food pantry lady. Why do y'all hate poor people so much? Because I'm not understanding where all of this vitriol came towards this lady for just simply stating that she would just like some fresh fruits and vegetables and things that she could actually eat And I don't understand how that makes her ungrateful, because as someone who has literally been in survival mode since, middle school, and I have been the person who has to rely on food pantries most of my life, it is very disheartening, and it takes a hit to the pride to be able to go to the food pantry just to be able to survive. But then you get there and then your options are extremely limited, and or things that you just don't eat. And this is dietary restrictions, allergies, and everything else aside. Like, why is it we expect poor people to just take whatever the hell we give them? As if just because you are food insecure and, impoverished, that you should just take whatever just because it's there. Like, that's not a life, bro. And when it comes to food, that's even more difficult, because, like, I would love to go to a food pantry and get all the options and the same feel that I could get at a grocery store if I had money. The only difference is that I just don't got money. So why do we expect poor people and people who rely on these public services out of the goodness of other people's hearts to just take shit and not complain about it? Because if your favorite grocery store, if, like, say you're in the same predicament, I think a lot of y'all would be as upset with her that there are no fresh fruits, there are no fresh veggies. She can't go in there and just get a pack of fresh chicken. Like, we hear stories all the time about how food pantries are understaffed and underprovided for, and they have an abundance of certain things, but then they also lack other critical food needs as well. So, like, I'm just confused. Because I thought it was the responsibility of bigger creators to advocate for these things, not to tear people down and use their big ass platform to just have 100,000,000 comments and likes of just disregard and hatred for impoverished people. Like, I want us to do better. There's no way we're gonna survive a revolution if that's y'all's mindset.
There are people all across this country right now that are struggling to keep a roof over their head and food in their bellies, and to keep up with these insane bills that we have. She's sitting there with her nails being done, and those are huge nails too, so those do cost a pretty penny. And she's going to the food bank, which food banks are tapped out all across this country right now. She has the gall to bring home food that's going to sustain her and complain about every item that's in there. Yes, some things that are prepackaged, like your Lipton noodle soup, they're going to split it apart. They're not going to give you a whole box because they need to make up enough hampers for everybody that they can. Could you imagine going to a food bank and them turning you away and you have kids to feed because there's no more hampers left for the day? That's what a lot of people are facing right now. And you, with your perfectly manicured little fingers, are complaining about having food that will sustain you. The two of you thought you were going to do some sort of video on TikTok and have thousands of people agree with you. That wasn't the case, since you obviously deleted your video and then deleted your account. I've had to go to the food bank, and it's not easy to accept food. It's not easy to swallow your pride when you need help. But you have no problem, and it shows with the attitude that you're portraying in that video. You have no problem just taking and taking and taking. If you do not like what's in your hamper, kindly bring it back to the food bank, because there's a family that will probably really appreciate it. Have the day you deserve.
Only in America do we have food bank influencers.
I'm 52nd in the food bank line. Let's see how long it takes and what we're given.
So this woman will spend hours and hours almost every day waiting in line at food banks. Then she will also make content where she's showing you the meals that she makes with said food she got from the food bank.
Home, and we got all kinds of food.
People will literally do anything but just go get a real job. If you're wondering why so many hardworking Americans are fed up with people taking advantage of our welfare systems like SNAP benefits, or even just taking advantage of charities like food banks in general, it's because of people like this. Food banks are supposed to be for people going through a difficult time, not for content. And this girl makes a lot of content from it, to the point where she's almost amassed 100,000 followers. Her videos get a ton of views, so she is making a good amount of money from TikTok. Definitely enough to go buy groceries. Now, she says she donates some of the money she makes on TikTok back to food banks, but that still does not explain why she's taking the food that other people need. And if that wasn't enough, she also gives financial advice.
But if you have credit card debt, you should be using a food bank.
Watch any of her videos and you will see so many nice cars lined up at these food banks. Like, why on earth are you not selling your luxury vehicles to feed your family? Not to mention, this food bank influencer is literally using an iPhone, a very expensive phone, to film her content. This is why so many of us are getting so black-pilled when it comes to paying taxes, knowing that welfare systems are getting taken advantage of by people who have nicer cars and nicer phones than us, or getting disheartened by the fact that a lot of the charities we donate to are probably getting taken advantage of by people like this.
And it really upsets me because there's people who rely on the food bank, and there was a lot of food that she received. There was vegetables in there, there was fruit in there. It was just in cans. And I've gotten food from the food bank. We have neighbors who go to the food bank and they get too much food and they end up passing it out, and they're looking at me and they're going like, I don't know what to do with all this. And I'm like, well, make a stew. Or make this. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, yeah, you can end up eating for like a couple of days off of that one meal when you make a stew, because all you need is just like some chicken. All you need is just a roast. You know, you can go to get a $5 roast at HEB and then throw it in there and boom, you've got a huge meal out of this. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But she had received a blessing from the food bank and was like, oh my God, there's nothing in here. There was a ton of stuff in there, lady. And then they say, well, I'm just going to go outside and eat dandelions. Well, then go outside and eat dandelions. And you know what? Give that food to someone more deserving.
By now, you've probably seen the video of the lady that's showing her haul after coming back from a food bank, expressing how mad she was at the items that she's received. So much so that she said she was going to go into her backyard and pick dandelion greens and fry those up. Now, I tried to find the original video so that I could stitch it in here, but because of all of the backlash and people telling her that she was rude and ungrateful, she's deleted her account. And I love that for her, because she is rude and ungrateful. And I could use that as a talking point for this video, but I want to come at this from a different perspective, because I'm sure people know about food banks, but I don't think that people really understand how food banks operate. As someone who's not only volunteered at food banks, donated to them, but also had to use them, I think I have a perspective on this. I don't know if enough people understand that food banks and food pantries oftentimes are meant to go hand in hand with programs like SNAP. They're trying to help people that need assistance with food so that they can take the pressure off of that family in needing shelf-stable items, right? Your bread, your grains, your canned goods, so that that person can then take their benefits, you know, their SNAP benefits, and go to the grocery store and focus on the things like milk, eggs, bread, meat. So it's not meant to feed your entire family all of the foods that you love. It's meant to be an assistance too. I don't know if people really are aware just how heavily food banks rely on donations from the average citizen. And I know I was guilty of this until I volunteered at a food bank the first time, in that I would go in my pantry and I would find the items that maybe my family didn't like anymore or wasn't getting eaten. Or I would find the items that maybe were a month out from expiration date. And those would be the items that I donate. Well, food banks and oftentimes food pantries are regulated by the state. So they have a lot of regulations and SOPs that they have to go by, which includes how far out is the expiration date on those items. So people don't really understand that a large portion of the food that comes into those donation stations can never be used. They have to be thrown away because they are too close to an expiration date. And some of the items that come in are so niche that they just can't keep them. Because if you're Jewish, you love gefilte fish. But if you're not, you're gonna look at that and be like, ew. So they just won't keep it. And maybe there's this idea that because the person needs assistance, that they should just be happy with whatever. And well, that's not realistic. But why give something to somebody that they're not going to eat? Now, by no means am I saying that that's what this lady did, because she got a lot of really good shelf stable items. She was just being far too picky. By no means am I saying that you need to go out and buy name brand products to turn around and donate. What I am saying is take a look at the expiration date. And if you were on the receiving end of needing that assistance, with this item that you're getting ready to turn into a food bank, would it be something that you would like? Have a great day.
You guys seen this video of a woman 116th in the food bank driving there with everyone else in their brand new cars? And anyone else find this strange that America has the richest poor people? That these people are essentially, in my opinion, taking away from real poor people? Because how do you have a car worth 10, 20, 30, 40 and more $1,000? There's even like a brand new Escalade in here, and you're showing up to a food bank. Like, why don't you just sell your car? Like, is that not obvious? Like, look at the prices of some of these cars, and look how much food that they actually give them. These rich poor people are given just pounds of meat and milk and berries and loads of expensive food, basically taking this away from real people that actually need this. Look at the granite countertops in your giant house, in your brand new car, driving to the food bank. Guys, I can't be the only one that has a problem with this. Like,
Okay, but this actually pisses me off so much, because what do you mean we're judging whether someone needs help based on the car that they drive? Okay, let's take my car for example. My car is about 9 years old, but it has been paid off for a couple of years. At the time, I was making my payments. I was good. But if I had to make a car payment right now with the other stuff I've got going on, I would not be putting food on the table. All of that money would be redirected into car payments, because let me tell you something. I live in the greater Houston area, and unless you live in Houston City proper, there is no public transportation. There's no buses, there's no trains, there's no subways, there's no pedicabs. Like, there is your feet and there is your car. My husband works about 12 miles away from our house, and a lot of that is along a major highway with no sidewalks. Like, you're not walking to work. If you live in the greater Houston area, you need a car. In fact, that is one of the questions that most places will ask you during an interview is, do you have reliable transportation? Because you don't, unless you are incredibly lucky, you don't live within walking distance of your job. And if you have a newer car, that means less mechanical issues, less money that you're going to have to spend with a mechanic. If it's like really newer, it probably has warranties still attached, less problems that you're going to have to deal with than if you got an older car, because you need that car to go to work. But more importantly, have you never had an emergency happen? Because I have.
You guys drove around picking up all those food, and then you came online to actually complain about it. That's really sad. That's really, really sad. Only in America, where we have influencers for everything. But people that don't even need to go to the food bank, just because they want to save some extra money, they will actually infiltrate the system and go and get those items. You know what I mean? You don't need, and then when they get home, they take the ones that they want out of it, and the ones that they think they don't want or they don't like, they throw it away in the trash. Why, if they have left it, someone else could have those same food and will be happy to have them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just weird to me. But let me know what you think about this story down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.